What's up, design family, and welcome back to the FittDesign channel. So glad to have you here. On today's episode, we'll be looking at my top 3 functional fabric finishes for sportswear textiles. Welcome to FittDesign TV. On this channel, we'll explore what it takes to make it as an activewear fashion brand, whilst providing tips, tricks, and actionable steps towards starting your own product line. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to start your own brand or just someone interested in fitness fashion, there's something for you here. Before we start, what is a fabric finish? When you get a raw fabric straight off the loom, it's usually rough, grainy, the color is not quite right, and overall it's not flexible. So what companies will do is they'll apply a cosmetic or touch finish to get the fabric feeling a lot more soft, the color is a lot more right, so that it's ready to sell at the store or online. A functional fabric finish is similar, except the finish that's applied to that fabric is not only cosmetic in its nature, but it's intended to give the fabric added life, more use, a functional use. In sportswear, the top 3 finishes that I would recommend are 1. Anti-odor, antimicrobial, 2. Anti-static finishes, and 3. Water repellency or water wicking finishes. We'll go through each one. I'll explain what it is and how it's applied and how it works. First is your antimicrobial finish. Because of the tightly knitted nature of woven fabrics or knitted fabrics, there are ample breeding ground for microbes. These microbes or bacteria is what creates odor. It's what gives fabric smell. So because of that humidity and because of that propensity to create microbes, you get the tendency to have bad smells. And in sportswear, because we're sweating and adding to that humidity, we're encouraging the growth of those microbes. So an anti-odor finish is essential. And this can be applied in 2 ways. 1, the antimicrobial agents can be applied to the substrates that create the fibers or directly in the spinning process. And those antimicrobial agents inhibit the growth of microbes that create these odors. So it's pretty simple. If you eliminate the thing that causes the odor, which is the microbes, the bacteria, you end up eliminating the odor. So that's what antimicrobial or anti-odor finishing is. Second is anti-static. Anyone who's been stung by static knows that it's not only harmful, but it's quite painful. Our body's in our constant state of positive and negative, and we're building up charge as we move around. The way that charges are built up is through friction. And in fibers or fabrics, the weaves or the threads are constantly in a state of rubbing against each other and building up that charge. So when you're moving, you're building up that charge, and ultimately it has to discharge to equalize. So anti-static finishes, what they do is they offset that charge and ultimately they eliminate that zap or that shock that you may feel when you built up that charge. A process of silicone emulsion is implemented onto the fabric to break up the fibers, to give them more space, and to lubricate between them so that they're not rubbing together as much. This has the added benefit of allowing fibers to trap less soil, dirt between the crevices in the fabric or the fibers themselves. So not only are you getting an anti-static finish, but you're allowing your fabric to get rid of dirt a lot more easily by breaking up the small spaces between the fiber threads. The last and final functional fabric finish that I'm going to recommend as a must is a water repellency or a water wicking treatment. Water repellency is a surface application. Typically it's either a silicone, wax, resin, and these silicone waxes or resins are hydrophobic in nature. They're applied to the surface of a layered fabric, and because they're hydrophobic in nature, they don't mix well with water. So when you get rain or any other liquid that lands onto the surface, because of the hydrophobic coating, it doesn't allow it to go through the fabric and onto your skin or onto the other layers of the fabric that you're wearing. This has the positive effect of being water repellent and great on outerwear items that are meant to combat the elements like snowsuits, skiboard jackets, windbreakers, most of these types of garments that are meant to combat the elements. But at the same time, because they're totally hydrophobic in nature and they don't allow any humidity or liquid to pass through, they can be quite uncomfortable when worn for long periods of time because they don't allow your body to engage in homeostasis and to precipitate as it should. What that ends up happening is it traps a lot of heat and ultimately feels more uncomfortable for the wearer. So what we'd recommend instead of a full water repellency is a water wicking, which is a nice middle ground, which especially for sportswear is going to be key as we're going to be sweating. You don't want your fabrics to be soaking in all that sweat and retaining it. It's just it's not comfortable, and ultimately that will encourage the growth of microbes causing odor. So that links in with the first treatment that we mentioned. You want to have some sort of water wicking treatment on fabrics, and that's a nice middle ground between no water finish and complete water repellency. So those are the top 3 functional fabric finishes. My top 3, just because they make so much sense in the sportswear space. We're demanding more of our fabrics. We want to feel more comfortable in them for longer periods of time. We don't want to have any adverse effects onto ourselves from the activities that we may be doing. So we're sweating, we're moving, we're building up charge, we're building up bacteria around us as we sweat, as we go through the stasis of regulating our body temperature, and ultimately our fabrics should do more to match our needs. And that's why I love functional fabrics. They just give an added layer of usability to your garments, and I highly recommend them. Like I said, anti-static, anti-odor, and water wicking finishes are a must. If I've missed any other finishes that you think are equally as important, do feel free to drop them in the comments below. There are a ton more finishes that we can consider, and we'd love to go through them in future videos. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our lovely channel. Stay awesome.